Have you ever wondered why the rich seem to be getting richer while the poor and middle class seem to be getting poorer? A lot of people believe it's because the rich take advantage of the poor, but that's not necessarily the case. See, the reason why the rich get rich and the poor get poorer is it's a mindset thing. There's two kinds of mindsets we're talking about here. There's an abundance mindset and a lack mindset. Remember Proverbs, it tells us, you think, therefore it is. Therefore it becomes. So there's two kinds of mindsets. What do you mean by these mindsets? It's simple. Okay? So, for instance, the poor, they believe time equals money. Okay? So they take their time and they trade that time for money, and they take their money and they pay the bills. So it goes in and out, right? Never be seen again. So it's a constant, okay, now I got to work more, and then you get more, and then it goes out with the bills. And then you get better at your skill, your trade, and then your bills exceed even higher. So instead of trying to live beneath your means, you actually increase your means. So it just keeps on in and out. Well, the rich, what they do is totally different. They don't believe time equals money. They understand that time is infinitely more valuable than money. That's why what they do is they work to create assets. Okay? They work to create assets or to acquire assets. These assets pay for their bills, right? But it makes money passively while they sleep, right? This creates a passive income, which in time creates wealth. See, riches is measured by money, right? Wealth is measured by time, because they understand that time is infinitely more valuable than money. By doing this, they try to achieve, they call it getting out of the rat race, so to speak. What is that rat race? That rat race is that it's that simple. You work, get money, pay the bills. Now you're broke, now you work, make money, pay the bills. What they do is they work, they build stuff, they acquire these assets pay the bills. Well, they're out there building something, making some more money, and then they acquire more assets, and it becomes like a cycle of wealth that keeps on going and building and building and building. Now, how can you get from broke to wealthy? That's the key. See, and I like to say broke instead of poor, because poor is a mindset, right? Poverty mindset. See, being poor is a mindset, being broke is a state. And we can get past that state. It's that simple. It's that easy. Remember when I told you in the other video, if you haven't watched it, please go and watch it. I talk about God math. In that God math, I tell you to take 20% of what you make and put it aside, put it in a TFSA. In that TFSA, it's called a tax-free savings account. It's not really a savings account. It's an investment account where you start investing tax-free. You take that money, 20%, put in that, watch it grow. Okay? By me personally, what I do is I take 10%, I put in my TFSA, and where I buy stocks and stuff like that. And I do some trading, yada, yada, yada. And then I take another 10%, I put in cryptocurrency. Now, I find cryptocurrency is great when you're starting out, trying to build wealth, try to understand the game, because you can start with very little money. Although, just be honest, if you want to get rich by investing in any way, you got to get more money in the game, right? Crypto is a high risk as well. But again, I mean, you got to understand risk to profit ratio, right? chances are most things that are high profit are higher risk, right? But you got to manage that correctly, right? So the reason why the rich get rich, recap, the reason why the rich get rich is because they take their money and they put it to work. Which brings us to our next point. Poverty mindset is, I'm going to work for money, right? Rich mindset would be, I'm going to let money work for me. See, when you work for money, then once you get the money, what are you going to do with it? You work, you trade time, you get the money, and then you just got money, so it's going to dwindle away, right? That's why I don't recommend even putting it in a regular old savings account to collect interest, because inflation eats it up. I don't recommend you put in a safe, because inflation will just eat it up. Maybe put it with a financial advisor, right? They put it in an investment portfolio, and usually they get about 6% overall return. So you take 20% and you invest it in whatever it is you want to invest in. You don't even have to, you don't have to put it into the FSA. You invest in, start little small businesses, start a Kijiji hustle where you buy things cheap, fix it up, flip them, sell them, whatever. Buy and sell furniture, buy old furniture, fix it up, sell it, do whatever it takes, right? Just put that money to work, right? Because when you start putting that money to work, then it starts increasing the money, right? And you take 20% of what you made from that money already made, and you reinvest it. And then it keeps on growing and growing and growing. Eventually, you got a lump sum, and you got money moving, and you can buy investments, build businesses that create itself, that create that passive income. So the rich understand that time is more valuable than money. So what they do is they work hard, very hard at the beginning, to create something that will just generate a passive income, so they can get paid while they sleep. So what does Jesus say about investing? This is when it comes down to it. A lot of believers, they're not about investing. They're not about financial gain. What does Jesus say about it? Well, if you look at the parable of the talents, when again, I talked about this in my last video. So the one who buried it, he was cursed. You know, the king punished him, right? People don't, if they don't understand the talents, what it is the king put, hold on a second, I'll read it. A little bit of it, just to get it in context, so you guys understand what I'm talking about. Okay, so the parable of the talents. For it is just like a man who was about to take a journey, and he called his servants together and entrusted them with his possessions. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, each according to his own ability. And then he went on his journey. The one who had received the 5 talents went at once and traded with them, and he made a profit and gained 5 more. Likewise, the one who had 2 made a profit, gained 2 more. But the one who has received the one went and dug a hole in the ground and hid his master's money. Now, after a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The one who had received the 5 talents came and bought 5 more, saying, Master, you entrusted me with 5 talents. See, I have made a profit and gained 5 more talents. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful and trustworthy over a little. I will put you in charge of many things. Share in the joy of your master. Also, the one who had 2 talents came forward, saying, Master, you entrusted me with talents. See, I have made a profit, gained 2 more talents. His master said, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful and trustworthy over a little. I will put you in charge of many things. Share in the joy of your master. The one who had 1 talent also came forward, saying, Master, I knew you to be harsh and demanding man, reaping a harvest where you did not sow, and gathering where you did not scatter seeds. So I was afraid to lose the talents. And I went and hid your talent in the ground. See, you have what is your own. But the master answered him, You wicked, lazy servant. You knew that I reap the harvest where I did not sow, and gathered where I did not scatter seeds. There you ought to have put my money with the bankers, and at my return I would have received money back with interest. So take the talents away from him. So take the talents away from him and give it to the one who had the 10 talents. For to everyone who has and values his blessing and gifts from God, and has used them wisely, more will he gain, more will be given, and he will be richly supplied, so that he will have an abundance. But from the one who does not have, because he has ignored or disregarded his blessings and gifts from God, even what he does have will be taken away. See, this principle is making it pretty clear. God blesses you for your hard work. And he blesses you with this money. Okay? You earn it, but remember, all things belong to God. All the silver and gold. So he entrusts you with it. We got to learn to be good stewards. God has been showing me this quite a bit. That we need to be good stewards of what God has given us. Remember, if we're good with the little he gives us, then many more will be given to us. So do you want to be the wicked, lazy servant who doesn't work, doesn't put his money to work, who's scared, who's a coward? Or do you want to be a good and faithful servant? This mindset is very, very important. We got to get past the idea of working for money and then put our money to work, or hoarding money but put it to work. Right? We all need money to live. You got bills to pay. You got things to do. You got a family to provide for. But if you take 20%, just 20%, you put that money to work and it'll generate. And when you invest, there is risk. That's why the wicked lazy man was scared, because he looked at the risk. But he didn't accurately look at the profit to risk ratio. He just looked at the risk and he got scared. Well, the others, they looked, okay, I'm sure they've seen the risk too. They've been there, right? When the master was sowing seeds or was it reaping a harvest where he sowed seeds? They were there too. But they understood, okay, well, even though that was there, that risk is there, I can also increase my money. I'm not telling you guys be irresponsible with your money and spend and invest more than you have, than you can afford. I'm just saying that instead of working for money, let's put our money to work. Pretty basic mindset, but it flips the script. But hey, whatever. As a Christian, I follow a man who flipped the script so many times. That's what he does. That's what Jesus does. Flip the script. We're called to live a whole different lifestyle than everybody else. Right? We're called to live the narrow road. Right? So everybody else is going on this road where they're in the rat race and they continue on this rat race. I'm taking this narrow road. I'm taking this road with abundance and prosperity. Why? Because I can. Why? Because I can do all things with Christ who strengthens me. Guys, that's my video for today. God bless you guys. You guys have a great rest of your week.